In the dimly lit basement of an old Victorian house, three friends gathered around a weathered Ouija board. Sarah, Jake, and Emily had always been intrigued by the supernatural, and they saw this as just another adventurous escapade. Little did they know, they were about to unlock something far more sinister than they could have ever imagined. The air in the basement felt heavy as they placed their fingertips lightly on the planchette. Sarah took a deep breath, her heart pounding with excitement and a hint of apprehension. "Is there anybody here with us?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. For a few moments, nothing happened. Then, with a sudden jerk, the planchette began to move. It glided across the board, spelling out words in a disjointed manner. EVIL. A nervous laugh escaped Emily's lips. "Very funny, Jake." "I'm not moving it," Jake protested, his eyes wide with fear. Sarah's heart raced as the planchette continued to move, spelling out chilling messages. "We shouldn't have done this," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the sound of their pounding hearts. But despite their growing unease, they couldn't tear themselves away. They had to know more. "What do you want from us?" Sarah asked, her voice shaking. The planchette spelled out a single word: SOULS. A shiver ran down Emily's spine. "This isn't funny anymore, you guys. We need to stop." But before they could remove their hands from the planchette, an intense coldness filled the room, causing their breath to mist in front of them. The planchette began to move faster, almost frantically, spelling out words with a sense of urgency. DARKNESSCOMES. Suddenly, the basement plunged into darkness, the only illumination coming from the faint glow of the Ouija board. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she reached for the flashlight they had brought with them. As she clicked it on, the beam of light revealed a figure standing in the corner of the room. It was tall and shadowy, its features obscured by the darkness. Sarah's hand trembled as she aimed the flashlight at it, her breath catching in her throat. "What the hell is that?" Jake whispered, his voice barely above a terrified whimper. Before anyone could respond, the figure began to move towards them, gliding across the floor with an otherworldly grace. Sarah's hands shook as she tried to keep the flashlight steady, but her fingers felt numb with fear. With a sudden burst of courage, Jake lunged forward, grabbing the Ouija board and flipping it over, breaking the connection between them and whatever malevolent force they had unleashed. The figure let out a blood-curdling shriek, its form dissipating into nothingness. For a moment, silence filled the basement, broken only by the sound of their ragged breathing. Then, slowly, the lights flickered back on, casting a harsh glare on the scene before them. They looked at each other, their faces pale with shock and disbelief. "We have to get out of here," Emily said, her voice trembling. Without another word, they fled from the basement, leaving the Ouija board behind them. But even as they ran, they could feel the presence of something dark and malevolent lingering in the shadows, waiting for its next opportunity to strike. And so, they left the old Victorian house behind, but they would never forget the horror they had unleashed that night, or the whispers from the void that haunted their dreams for years to come.